from Ashdown Jones, take 3. We have had a bit of a disaster trying to get this Facebook Live out today. I'm hoping it's going to work. If Craig just moves a little bit, I can see my notes. Thank you. I'm here today with Joe, and I'm delighted to be introducing him because he's the newest addition to the Ashdown Jones team. So, Joe, just tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, I'm Joe. I've lived in the Lakes for 9 years, and previously I worked in hospitality management, but I'm looking forward to learning in a new industry. And
all about houses and cellars and
yeah.
brochures and photography and all that. And there's a lot of crossover with hospitality and estate agency. And I think something that Joe brings to our team is a real keen understanding of what customer service means. And that's really here what we're here to talk about in this Facebook Live, which is about communication with your estate agent. And actually, Joe, you went to see a property this morning on the market, been on for quite a while, and that gentleman was not being communicated with by his estate agent. So
no, it was a bit of a sad story really, because he felt he was kind of to blame for the house not selling. So it'd been on the market for nearly 2 years, and he's on his second agent now. His first agent was quite a reputable local agent, but having not had very many viewings and
like
feedback, 3 viewings across a year, no real feedback from the agent. He decided to go with an online agent called Tepelo.
Yeah, Sarah Beanie one, yeah. So if you don't know them, they're an online agent, or we like to call them a DIY agent. So we've gone from a full service agent to a DIY agent. And just explain, what does viewings feedback mean anyway when it's done properly?
So I think it's really hard if you're selling something to obviously not understand where you're going wrong potentially, or why people aren't engaging with what you're selling as well as you hoped, especially when it's such an emotional product as your home. So I think the feedback is a really important part that allows the seller to adjust and sort of evolve how they position the house and help them sell it.
That's right, yeah, absolutely. And so this guy had been on the market for 2 years.
Yeah.
A year, we think, roughly, with the first agent?
Yeah, a year with the first agent. He wasn't at the beginning when he put the house on. I don't think he was as needed to sell it quite as much, but for personal reasons he needs to move the property now. So I think that sort of inspired him to move away from the first agent to the second.
So he was quite keen to hear what you had to say in terms of feedback and communication, and actually asking you, why hasn't my house sold?
That's it. You know, everything we looked at in the house, he would question whether that was the reason why the house hadn't sold, whether it's the boiler or, you know, and Phil, who I was with, kept reiterating to him that he is not the reason the house hasn't sold. But part of what confounded that perception with him was that he's had to conduct the viewings himself for the last year.
Right. So for the first year with the full service agent, they did his viewings with him or for him, and the second year with the DIY agent, then he was obliged to do his own viewings to show people around.
And I think as it hasn't sold for such a long period, I think he's probably taking that into the viewings that he's conducting himself. So he's probably apologising for things that he doesn't necessarily need to, or worrying about things that, you know, wouldn't be considered if a professional was doing the show for him.
And now, as you said before, he doesn't know whether it's the house that's to blame or him.
That's it, yes. So it's confused everything even more for him, really.
And he's lost his confidence, hasn't he?
He's lost his confidence, and he's starting to have to take a hit on the price, which seems to be really the only solution either of the agents have had for him. There's been no discussion about remarketing the property in a different way.
Right, okay.
It's all just been about price reduction.
And what did it start off at? What price did it start off at?
Started off at 700,
right,
and is moving down towards the 650 mark now.
Right, okay.
So he was offered an extended free year with his existing agent, but obviously with very few viewings, it's largely pointless for him. And the kind of the annual pricing structure sort of struck me as strange as well.
So with Tepelo, you pay what, £1,000 to go on the market in the first place?
£1,000 for a year.
Right, and then what do you have to pay? Because you have to get out of it, don't you?
You've got to. I think I'm not sure exactly. I think there is a release fee of £1,000 that he's paying. But
it was ringing quite loudly. I'm sorry if that was in your ears too. So we're still here talking about communication. There's so many obstacles, isn't there, today?
This is
stoppers.
Facebook Live is a tricky thing to do.
It's a very tricky thing to do. Yeah, live broadcasting.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just leave it to the BBC.
Yeah, or we could record them first.
Can we record
I feel much more comfortable with that.
But we're going to carry on live. We're going to beat this. We are going to get this done. And one thing I wanted to mention is that it's all too easy to think about the communication as being with a company, so a local agent maybe, and the vendor or the property. And these are two sort of very non-emotional entities, but it's actually person to person. And when you've just shown your house, or you've just had somebody show your house for you, you really want to know exactly what that person felt and thought. And we've actually got these lovely little viewing cards, which I did a Facebook Live last week, which you might have seen. I don't know if you can see it, I'll just show you nice and close, maybe just let me know where that, can you see that, Craig? Yeah. So it's a nice little viewing card, and we leave those for immediate feedback in the property when we've done a viewing. In fact, Phil's just done one this afternoon, so he's filled one out and left it with the owner, or left it on the owner's mantelpiece. And it says on the back what the viewer thought, the date, any notes, and some little smiley faces, or not quite so smiley faces, or some unhappy faces, just to give an immediate indication of what that viewer thought of that property. And that sort of satisfies that immediate gratification issue. But we also do another call that we to get considered feedback a few days later. So just tell us about that, how that might go.
So in order to, people need to sort of sit down and have a good think, and often things will come to mind after the show.
And after the on the properties as well.
Yeah, that's it. They'll have had a chance to compare it to what's available on the local market. So the feedback a few days after, I think, is really important. But that kind of ongoing communicative relationship, even if nothing's going on, I think it's important to communicate with people and let them know what you're doing. And it gives you an opportunity to be proactive rather than reactive. So it's not very good if you haven't spoken to someone for 6 months and then they come to you, chase you up, and then you come up with a load of ideas. Well, you could have done that after 4 weeks and maybe sold the house for them and achieved what they were looking for.
I mean, I think generally speaking, after say 3 months on the market, particularly these bigger houses, $1 million, $2 million and above, it does take about 3 months for us to get any kind of feedback, because you haven't got a huge number of viewings. If you've got your house on the market 250, then chances are you're getting a viewing a week at least. But at upwards of 2.5 million, then the likelihood is you may only get one a month. And so it takes quite a while of collected feedback, chatting to people on the phone, getting the stats off Rightmove, and just finding out what's going on, how interested people are in that house. But after 3 months, we should have some data to go back to them with, and certainly start to change what we're doing. If it's not working, obviously. If it is working, we'll just do more of the same thing. But I think that too often an estate agent's job is quite invisible to somebody whose house is being sold, and so therefore we need to demonstrate exactly what we're doing. So we try and involve our sellers, our clients, in every aspect of what we're doing. So the photography, the copywriting, the brochure, the way it looks on Rightmove, the way it's been staged, everything, so that we are getting a collaborative approach to selling a property. That way we're not going to hit them with negative feedback after a month, because we'll have been talking all the way along. And that constant, frequent communication, and very honest and genuine communication, open communication, I think is really, really important. So let's just talk about sort of the relationship and the trust that's built up between the estate agent and the client, and how do you see that going?
So I think if you're communicating regularly and being honest, it may be that something comes up. First impressions are important. Maybe a carpet's not quite right, and lots of viewers are coming back saying we don't like the carpet. Well, instead of a knee-jerk reaction to drop the price, we can take that information politely to the seller and discuss whether it would be worth investing in changing some features of the house, as opposed to taking a big hit on the sale value.
Because like the one this morning was £50,000 drop.
Yeah, he's lost £50,000, and I think largely just some staging would help.
Which would be a few hundred pounds.
Yeah, there's been no support to him from either of the agents to assist him in creating nice living spaces. And obviously, if you live somewhere with in this case there's just the two of them for 15 years, you need fresh eyes.
That's very true.
Really, I see that as being a big part of what the seller's paying for when they take on a professional agent.
Yeah, and a professional expert in being able to bring a property to market successfully. You're absolutely right. So just to wrap up, in terms of how we communicate with our clients, we are, as I say, very open and honest. We try to communicate very frequently, communicate in lots of different ways. Some of our clients like to do Facebook Messenger or a text or email or phone, and all those are absolutely fine. If it's out of hours, maybe sometimes in the evening, or Phil's had phone calls on a Sunday evening, haven't you, Phil? And so we try and be available when that person needs to talk to us, whatever time that is, and how that fits in with their life. We're all busy people. But what I would say is, we'd love to invite you to communicate with us, to let us know how your sale's going, or if you've got a friend that's on the market or a relative, or somebody who's really not getting that communication that they need, and they don't know, they're confused about why their house isn't selling, and also that they're maybe trying to decide whether to drop the price, or as you were talking about, maybe just to adjust or amend, you know, the way the house is being presented. So we'd love to give you the opportunity to have a chat with us, completely confidentially, either by just a text or an email, or if you'd like to give us a ring, if I can remember the phone number, 015 394 88811. There you go, it's on the board. Windermere 88811. I can't remember that. Or if you want a quick coffee or anything at all, we'd love to hear from you, or anybody that you know. So tag anybody in the post that you think this might be relevant for. But for now, we'll say goodbye from myself and from Joe.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much indeed for watching. Bye for now.